get my 6. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the most awesome homesteading channel on the entire internet that has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with homesteading. Homesteading off the grid. Now, the temperatures have finally dropped below 90 degrees this evening, so I'm out here making a video. I'm going to actually answer a question that was asked in the comments section on this channel just yesterday. I would give a shout out and give credit to the person who asked this question, but the comment seems to have disappeared. So I don't know if the person retracted the comment or if YouTube removed the comment. I've had people email me, because there's an email address in the description box of most of these videos, where, we ask you to send any stories you might have associated with the paranormal, cryptids like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, anything at all, for, publishing in a future volume of the True Haunting series. And you can do that, by the way. The email address is crazylake@mail.com. But folks contact me there sometimes for other reasons. And I've had folks who have watched this channel for years, they claim, who say I've banned them, I've removed their comments, and now they know who I really am. Listen, sometimes AI removes your comments. Sometimes AI removes your ability to comment on social media, be it this platform, YouTube, or Facebook, or Instagram. Sometimes you might leave a nasty comment on somebody else's channel or page, and the AI will keep you from being able to comment on anything. Sometimes it's temporarily, sometimes it's permanent. I have nothing to do with that. And most folks don't understand this, and I don't really take the time to point it out because I don't see where it's necessary. Because most people, if you just behave yourself, if you see something you don't like on social media, if you just scroll past it and find something you do rather than attacking the content creator, you'll never have a problem with this, okay? But that's where I'm suspecting this comment might have disappeared to. This is the comment. The comment said, "Wow, you hardly get any views anymore. What are you doing wrong?" Well, when I first saw the comment, I thought, are they being, like passive aggressive? Is this some sort of insult? Or are they being genuine? Are they, because, we used to get 20 million views a month on this channel, and now it's like so small that from many standpoints, it's not even worth creating content on here for now. But I do, because I enjoy doing it. And I know I've got a couple thousand of you who are faithful followers who will come looking for new content. But I want to answer the question, and I want to explain my answer, because there's a lot of life lessons in here that I think a lot of folks never learn. I know people, what do they say? An old fool is the worst kind of fool, because they keep repeating the same mistakes over and over, and they never seem to learn the lesson. I've been in that position, but I would like to think that I have also learned, and I attempt to learn every day, and I attempt not to repeat the same mistakes in the future that I've made in the past. So let's talk about how social media works, and about my views, and about how it's not what I'm doing wrong, it's about what I'm doing right. So as those couple thousand of you who are loyal and faithful to this channel know, my views and success here on YouTube just basically, it's like the bottom dropped out of it about a year and a half ago. And the reason is because, now listen, I'm going to talk about some stuff I talked about yesterday in a live stream on Facebook. I did a live stream yesterday, and guess what? In less than 24 hours, it got 150,000 views. I get the kind of views over there that I used to get here. And they pay way more money per view and per watch time and all that stuff than this platform ever did. So trust me, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm doing everything right. But I'm going to explain it in detail so you'll understand. Did a live stream a couple days before that. Similar, that's where the action is. So that's where I'm putting forth my efforts. But the folks from this platform called me on the phone a year and a half ago, and they were like, oh, you're awesome, you're great, you've got over 300,000 subscribers, and it's all from your own effort. We've never really pushed any of your content. People are just drawn to you. You get amazing watch time. You can make a 28-minute long video, and the average viewer will watch 24 minutes of it. That's unheard of. We want to help you take your business to the next level. And I was like, awesome. Yeah, what do we do? Tell me what I need to do. Well, the answer was that they wanted me to e-bag. They wanted me to ask you to send me super chats, and every time I came on and made a video, say, remember to send me super chats, and they were telling me, you got 300,000 subscribers. If you could get everybody to send you $1 at least once throughout the course of a year, that's another $300,000 in revenues. I'm like, yeah. But they didn't like my response to it, because my response is this. Number one, I make far more money than I need, and I'm grateful for that, because there's been times when I wasn't making enough to eat. Okay, could always feed my kid, but my wife and I were going to bed hungry for many years when we were starting social media. We've been doing this for almost 15 years now, so we've been through the thin times, but we're not now. Things are good, and I understand that there are a lot of folks who watch my content who are on fixed incomes. A lot of retirees, a lot of folks are supporting themselves on Social Security disability. And I told them, I'm not comfortable telling those people who need their money to send it to me, a guy who doesn't, because I make plenty for myself. And like, oh no, you don't get it. You just don't understand. This one so-and-so, he did this. He did what we told him, and he increases blah, blah, blah. And so for my next couple of videos, I mentioned it, hey, if you want to send me a super chat, I appreciate it. And I do, if you ever want to do that, but it didn't feel comfortable. It wasn't comfortable for me, because I know there are people out there whose hearts are bigger than their bank accounts, who will send money if I ask them to. We actually had a PO box a couple years back, and we closed that down because we were literally getting truckloads of gifts every week. And I knew there were people who were sending stuff, buying stuff with money they really needed to be using for their own bills. So I've always been compensated enough just through the revenues that the advertisers pay for the content. Well, I refused to be an e-bagger. They wanted me to e-bag, and so I was suppressed. They stopped sending notifications when I would upload a new video to my subscribers. They started unsubscribing people. They took me out of the algorithm. So, but I still do this here because I do enjoy it. But what I did, okay, when my cheese was moved, I went and found the other cheese in a different place. And let me explain that. A lot of you have already picked up on this reference. It's something I've talked about several times on this platform and on Facebook. There's a book that was written probably 25 years or so ago called Who Moved My Cheese? And it's a fictional story it's like Aesop's Fables. It was written by a medical doctor. He's dead now. I wish I could remember his name. He died in about 2016. But he used to tell people this analogy, and his friends encouraged him to write a book about it. And it is the #1 best-selling book all time on Amazon. Yeah, that's how successful it is. But the story is pretty much this. There are 2 mice in a maze, and the person who controls the maze puts cheese in the same location for these mice to eat every day. So they go, get the cheese. Well, one day they show up and the cheese isn't there. They're like, this is odd. They come back later in the day, cheese still isn't there. Well, they don't eat that day. So the next day they go back, the cheese isn't there. They keep checking throughout the day, it's just not there. Well, after a few days, one of the mice says to the other, this cheese, we're not going to be able to get this cheese here anymore. We got it here for the longest of time, but it's been moved. It's gone. We need to go out there and find different cheese. And the other mouse was like, oh, no, we don't need to do that. Well, we might get lost in the maze. We might use up all of our energy looking for the new cheese, and we run out of energy and just lay down and die before we find it. No, we just need to stay right here and wait for the cheese to come back. Because, this is how we've always done things. We can look at our past history trajectories and and the cheese will come back. We just need to wait. Well, the other mouse was like, well, okay, we'll wait. So they waited a couple more days. And then the mouse who wanted to leave said, no, we need to leave. This cheese is not coming back. If we don't go find the cheese, we're going to starve. The other mouse, he fancied himself to be a little bit smarter than the other mouse and a little bit smarter than all the other mice. He says, no, I'm staying put because I've had success with this in the past. It'll come back. I'm not leaving. If you're naive and ignorant enough to go out there and try to find new cheese, you go for it. But I'm too smart to do that. I'm going to stay right here. Well, the one cheese goes out, or I'm sorry, not the one cheese. The one mouse goes out and seeks out the cheese. He eventually finds it. The other mouse, who was a little bit smarter than all the other mice, who stayed and didn't make changes in his routine based upon external changes that were occurring in his life, starved to death. He just didn't make it. He went the way of the dinosaurs because he was resistant to change. And maybe that mouse was smart. Maybe that mouse did have a high IQ. But when it came to life intelligence, business intelligence, emotional intelligence, he didn't have it, okay? Because high IQ doesn't translate to these other forms of intelligences. Street smarts, being streetwise, okay? So the point of the story is when things change in your environment, you cannot allow yourself to become so comfortable with doing things the way you've always done them to where when the environment changes, you don't go out and find the new life-giving cheese that you need to continue to survive. So when the floor pretty much fell out of this platform for this channel and we saw our revenues drop from, an unimaginable amount of monthly income down to like almost, typical middle-class income. Guys, listen, this is a serious talk. This is some life skill stuff, but you clearly heard something in the woods. I can't tell if it's a bark or if it's a howl. There are no houses close to mine from this location, so get my 6. You never know who or what may or may not show up back here, okay? So anyway, what I did, and I told my beautiful bride dearly, aka Giggly Girl, I got it. I said, look, the cheese has moved, and she knows the analogy of the book. I'm trying to get her to read it. She still hasn't read it. My son read it. He loved it. I said, I got to go find the different cheese. And so it took us about 30 days. We have a Facebook page called Sick Twisted Humor. That page was profitable like 6 years before this, but the same thing happened there. They moved the cheese, and then so we converted to YouTube. Well, I said, well, how about if I go back over here to this different platform and try to reignite that? And it worked. It took less than 30 days, but I finally figured out what we needed to do there. Started out with Reels. And boom, found my cheese. And then of course we were invited to be in the bonus program, which we're still currently in. Boom. So my point is to answer that question, you hardly get any more views. What are you doing wrong? I'm not doing anything wrong, except I miss that horsefly or deer fly. I'm doing everything right. I've learned through past experiences that when the cheese is moved, you go follow the cheese. It's not about, it's not like this ego thing associated with numbers. Oh no, I used to get 1 million views on, at least once a month I'd have a video get 1 million views, or I was getting 20 million views a month and now I'm not getting anywhere near that. I don't care. I care about generating revenues, doing what I do as a writer and as a social media content creator to provide the absolute best life for my wife and son and myself that I can provide. So if the bottom were to drop out of the Facebook page tomorrow, the next day I'd either be on Instagram or I'd be on whatever social media platform. And I don't even understand the way those platforms work, but within 30 days, I would figure out their algorithms. I would be viral, and I would be profitable because this is what I do. it's no secret now. Everybody who watches YouTube or scrolls through Facebook all day or watches Instagram, you know that we as content creators make money. You know that those of us who have been doing it for a long time and who are successful at it make a lot of money. As recently as 5 or 6 years ago, people didn't really understand that. So I would meet people at social gatherings, maybe at a school event for my kid, meet some other parents. And if the question came around to, so what do you do? What kind of work do you do? If I say, well, I'm a YouTuber or I'm a social media content creator, they would always laugh. They would laugh. And they say, oh, yeah, but like for money though, seriously, what do you do for money? And I'd say, well, I'm a social media content creator. I'm on YouTube. And then the discussion, if it went further, which sometimes it did, one of the most common phrases I would hear was, wow, you must have really gotten lucky. Yeah, you got lucky. I mean, to be able to be successful at that with the millions and millions of people that do it, and you're doing it and they're paying you for that, wow, you're really lucky. And I would tell them, well, if you view luck as Yogi Berra did, in that being, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Sure, I'll agree with you. But if you think I just went out there and posted one video or posted some meme on Facebook, and that's why we make more money in a month than a public school teacher makes in a year, because we got lucky doing that, you're wrong. There's actually a science to it. There's a method to it. There's a strategy to it. And it all has to do with the algorithms. And the algorithms are always changing. Even over on Facebook with the Sick Twisted Humor page, the algorithm has changed 3 or 4 major times there in the last year and a half, and we've had to change how we're doing things there to keep the revenues where they are. So again, to answer that question, I don't know if that person was being smug or if they were being genuine, but either way, it's not, my views aren't low here because of what I'm doing wrong, because I'm doing everything right. Now, what I talked about in the live stream yesterday on Facebook was about excuses and excuse makers and about how no one cares. So there are excuses and then there are reasons. So our views are low here now, extremely low, because of what I explained to you earlier. I refused the e-bag. They didn't like it, so they suppressed me. Fortunately, we have over 2,000 videos on here we put on here in the last 8 years. And even if I didn't create any content, we make enough money and ongoing revenues from that old content, we could pay all of our monthly expenses without having to do anything. But I'm not a, just enough kind of guy. I don't want just enough to get by. My family spent this past winter in the Philippines, and that was tremendous. That was tremendously enjoyable. And not just because it was tropical. And when the water lines were freezing here in Central Virginia, we were on the white sandy beaches of this paradise island. It's because that's where our family's from. My wife's family, Daniel, he was born there, spent the first 5 years of his life there. And Dearly's family I'm closer to her family than I was ever as close to my family of origin. That was a toxic entity. Dearly's family, they're wonderful people. They love me. I love them. We had a blast for 6 months. So if I just settled for just enough and just, paid the bills with what we still get from YouTube, from those over 2,000 videos over the last 8 years, yeah, okay, I'd exist. My family would exist, but we wouldn't live. And we want to live because we get one shot at this, all of us. And I don't want to be that guy who never gets to go out and have any experiences. I don't want my son to grow up not knowing what it's like to go to the Grand Canyon. We did that 2 summers ago. Last summer we spent 10 days or a week up in the Hamptons where Justin Timberlake is going through his ordeal with his DUI here. We were up there vacationing with folks that lived in literally $50 million houses. Now, and again, it isn't about ego and it's not about look at us. It's about being able to live life to its fullest. And we don't care about stuff. We're not materialistic. We're not consumeristic. We enjoy experiences. So, and again, we're able to do that not because of what I'm doing wrong, but because of what I'm doing right. Now, here's some of the things I'm doing right. Some of the other things, because number one thing I did right was I went to find where's the new location where the cheese is. Instead of sitting by idly saying, well, I was successful here with this for years, so I'll just wait. I'll just wait it out. It's just a downturn. I'll just sit here and do nothing and wait it out because, well, I'm getting enough just to get by anyway. I'm, bare minimum kind of guy. It's not who I am. So I went out and I found the cheese. Okay, number one. Number two, let me tell you about social media. 3% of us create the content. 97% of the folks that view the content literally piss away more hours of their day scrolling through it and commenting it and watching it, viewing it, and fighting with strangers on it than is healthy, and more time than is. Listen, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, okay? Who's the richest guy in the world right now? Elon Musk? Elon Musk and everybody watching has the same 24 hours in a day. Elon Musk just chooses to use his differently than those of you watching, or even myself. It's all about activity. For instance, on Facebook, part of the success with an algorithm is interaction with the posts. So I might post something on our page to the effect of, we'll use this current heat wave. They're saying we're in a heat wave. When I was a kid, they just called it summer. Do you think temperatures have really risen since your childhood? Or is it all just a, facade or whatever? That'll get 2,000 comments, 500 or 600 shares, 5,000 or 6,000 emojis, and other interactions. Now, do I go through there and read those comments? Some of them, yes. I just don't have time to do it all. And I don't want to say that I'm discounting, my viewers' thoughts or opinions or concerns. But what I'll tell you is that post will pay for my family's groceries for the next month. That one post. And we make 36 posts a day. So do the math. It's crazy. Might, post something to the effect of, I'm getting stronger with age. I can now lift $100 worth of groceries with one hand. And then people will go in the comment section and they'll fight. Some people will blame politicians. They'll say it's the government's fault. Other people will blame corporate greed. Well, then that'll give me an idea, and I'll say, maybe in an upcoming post, who is to blame for this insane inflation we're going through? The government officials or the corporate CEOs? Well, thousands of people will fight over in the comment section. I don't care. I'm a business person, and I know, and this is where, to those people who say, oh, you got lucky. It takes luck to be successful at what you do. No, it doesn't. It takes a business sense. It takes the ability to spot trends. It takes the ability to see opportunities. If people are fighting in the comment section and there's a particular issue or so that keeps coming up, I'm able to figure out how can I ask an open-ended question in regard to this issue without picking a side. And that sounds sneaky. That sounds like a politician playing both sides from the middle. It's not my intent. It's my intent to generate interactions, to generate revenues, to succeed as a content creator, because that's my job. That's my job. And there are people who try this and they'll pick a side. They'll create a Facebook page that supports leftist political ideas, or they'll create a page that supports, right-wing political ideas. They've chosen a side. They're solid on that side. They're never going to make it. They will never make it, because when you do that, and I've worked with people who have done that, you automatically exclude 50% of your potential viewers. You alienate them. And so you end up getting a lot of like-minded people. Like if you really believe those views you're pushing on that page, basically you get a lot of like-minded people who agree with you, and, well, that's boring. Folks, you got to get them fighting in the comments section. That's where the money's at. Why did Billy the Kid rob banks? It's where the money was. Okay? So it's not luck. It's understanding the actual business you're in. Okay? It's like anything else. If you're a mechanic, you've got to understand the way those engines work. You've got to be so familiar with it that when you start that vehicle, when you hear that click, 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 you know exactly what it is, because you've seen it enough times, you've got the experience, and you don't waste your time trying to figure out 20 things that might not be wrong with it, because you know what is. And that's going to catapult you to the top of your business. Now, with that said, let me point out something else I do right. Something else, and this is specifically what I talked about in the live stream yesterday on Facebook. That live stream was called "No One Cares." No one cares about ... And I was talking about excuses. I had a first sergeant when I was in the Army in Iraq. He was the first sergeant of my platoon, First Sergeant Eric Honeycut. He is now, last time I heard, he's probably retired now. He's 2 years older than me. But last I heard, he had been promoted to the Command Land Sergeant Major of the Washington Army National Guard. That's the highest rank you can obtain as an enlisted person. And I can't think of anybody more fitting for that because he was one of the greatest leaders I've ever had. And he had this saying, and you've probably heard me talk about it here before. You know, when you're in the military, you'll often hear talk about the maximum effective range of weapon systems. Like maximum effective range of a M4 is like 320 meters. You know, that's why we don't practice longer than 300 meter shots on the ranges. Maximum effective range of a 50 cal. The answer is if you can see it, you can kill it. And that's true. First Sergeant Honeycut would ask, what's the maximum effective range of an excuse? Well, the answer is 0 meters. He would not even let you give him an excuse. Say, hey, soldier, here's the task. This is what I need you or you and your team to do. Go do that. And when the allotted time was up for you to have accomplished this mission, if he came around and it wasn't done, he didn't want to hear an excuse. You learned quickly to accomplish the missions that he sent you on in the time frame that he gave you. He was realistic. He wasn't one of these a-holes who would give you a task with only half as much time as you actually realistically needed to complete it. He was a wonderful leader. He wanted the mission to be successful, and he made that happen by setting realistic expectations so we could all succeed in our own little teams so the entire mission was successful. So, but he wouldn't accept excuses. And I don't either. And here's the facts with you and your excuses. If you're an excuse maker, no one cares. The only thing people care about is if you did or you didn't. Okay? Let's say you own a party shop where you specialize in balloons and cakes and I'm just picking stuff random out of the air because listen, that's your job. That's your business. You're a party supply store. You're either going to succeed or you're not. If you don't succeed, if you end up going out of business and you have to go get a job or whatever, or you get on benefits or whatever, no one cares why you failed. You simply, you didn't. Okay? You either do or you don't, and you don'ted. And you're wasting your time and you're wasting theirs with these lame excuses. Now, I could say, oh, I don't get many views on YouTube anymore because I won't e-beg, and so they've suppressed me, and I keep coming back, and I make videos every day, but my views still aren't going up. It's all YouTube's fault. YouTube put me out of business. You know what I would sound like if I said those things? I would sound like a big, fat loser. Because that's exactly what I'd be. A big, fat loser. Listen, winners don't make excuses. Losers make excuses. Winners make ways to succeed, even if it's a new way, a way in which they've never tried, a way in which they've never done, but it works and they win. That's why they're winners. And let me tell you this too, no one cares if you win. They don't care if you win either. Oh, they might say, oh, congratulations, oh, that's great, I'm glad you're doing well, but at the end of the day, they don't care. They don't care if you win, they don't care if you lose, because you know what people care about? Themselves. I don't care what the guy that lives 3 miles up the road from me is doing. I don't care what he's got going on in his life. Wish him the best. I wish everybody the best. I wish everybody health, wealth, and prosperity. They're wonderful things. My family and I enjoy them. I wish everybody had it because I'm convinced that if everybody was wealthy and healthy and prosperous, nobody'd be a-holes. They'd be too healthy, wealthy, and prosperous to go around having a bad attitude, being negative, being jealous of other people, what other people have, because they'd have their own. And that's within the grasp of all of us to get to that point. It's just only the emotionally intelligent folks do what's necessary to get there. Emotionally intelligent people don't sit around coming up with excuses. They understand no one cares. My excuse, as viable as it might be, doesn't put food on the family's table. It doesn't provide the $8,000 we needed for round-trip airfare and the money we needed for the 6 months we spent in the Philippines while paying our fixed expenditures on our home back here in Virginia. Excuses don't provide that. Effort and achievement is what provides that. So emotionally intelligent people, successful business people understand these things. They don't get caught up in the things that are out of their control. This is something else I'm doing right rather than doing wrong. I don't focus on all the atrocities going on around the world. The situation in Ukraine, situation in Palestine, starving villagers in pick any third world country of your choice. Those things are terrible. I wish they didn't exist. But I accept the fact that I live in a world where these things happen, and I understand they're out of my control and they do not directly affect me. There's nothing I can do to change that, but what I can do is figure out where the algorithm on the social media platforms that I'm being successful on now is trending, make sure to get ahead of that trend. Like Wayne Gretzky, when he played hockey, they asked him once, you're not the biggest guy out here, you're not the fastest, you're not the strongest, but you're the best ever. How is that? He said, everybody else goes to where the puck is. I go to where the puck's going to be. So that's how we have to think to succeed in life, to succeed in business, to succeed in relationships. Put your efforts there. Don't waste your time making excuses for your don'ts. Don't allow yourself to become emotionally and intellectually embroiled in wars going on in countries you'll never see. Those things are terrible, but that's out of your control. What you need to focus on is what directly affects you and your family's livelihood. Focus on doing the things that will take you further in life, get you further ahead. Don't even look at that other stuff. People come to our house and they're amazed that we don't have a television in it. We don't have a television in our home. We don't watch it. We've got books piled up and, I don't let the noise get in my head because it will distract you. It will confuse you. It will take your focus off of what's important, which is for me is providing for my family, giving us the most wonderful life that we can imagine. My favorite movie of all time is actually called It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart. We watch it every year. I introduced it to Dearly. She can't wait till December so we can watch that movie. That's been my favorite movie since childhood. And in that movie, at the end of the movie, you realize having the most money isn't really what determines whether you're happy. I think most people would agree, yeah, you're pretty successful. You went out there, you made $500,000 last year, Kevin. You're pretty successful, okay? But that doesn't always lead to happiness. Having the most stuff, which isn't important to us at all, because again, we enjoy experiences, and we enjoy the freedom of not having bills. We'd rather take our money instead of buying a Beamer or a boat, put it in dividend-paying stocks. Say, hey, there's more passive income, so that's that much less we have to worry about working for money because our money's paying us money. You know what I mean? But when you're to the point in life to where you truly enjoy what you do, when you truly enjoy who you're with, who you're spending your time with, the people you surround yourself with, that is the best level of success. That's joy. It's not just happiness. Happiness is an emotion based upon the outcome of an event. If I go to a UVA football game and UVA wins, I'm happy. But that's different than joy, because even if UVA loses, I'm not happy that we lost, but I still am filled with joy because I love the fact that my family and I got to go to that game that day. I love the fact that the weather was beautiful. Sometimes it's hot early in the season. And I got to see, 30, 40,000 other people out having wonderful times with their friends and their families. I'm filled with joy because the streets of Charlottesville are clean. The mountain air here in the Blue Ridge Mountains is clean. I can't wait to get out of bed every morning and start my day and live my life. And it has nothing to do with the money. But the success and the money sure does help. It's put us in a situation where we don't have a lot of the worries that a lot of folks who don't have enough have. But it's because I've got a great relationship with my wife, got a great relationship with my son. My social circle is small because I prefer quality over quantity. I've got a great relationship with the folks inside my social circle. Great health, exercise daily, healthy diet, don't abuse substances. All these things come together, and these are the things I do right. Going back to answering the question of the person, whether they were being passive aggressive or whether they're being genuine. I'm not doing anything wrong. Yeah, I don't get many views over here anymore. I get 55 million a month on Facebook. and they pay higher revenues anyway. So it's like 4 times more in revenues over there than we ever made over here during our best months. And this has been the case for the last year and a half. It's been incredible. And it's not because of what I'm doing wrong on YouTube. It's because of what I'm doing right in life and in business. The cheese was moved. I went out and I found the different cheese. There's all kinds of negative, nasty stuff going on in the world. I don't let it get in my head because I have no control over it, and it doesn't directly affect me. So I focus on what I can control and what does affect me. When I meet a negative Nelly or a negative Ned, a pessimist, somebody who wants to kill my joy, I excuse myself from their presence and I make sure to avoid them for eternity. I love my positive vibes, Brian. I'm not letting you bring me down. If you want to go over there and be negative and talk about how terrible the world is and watch headline news and hate certain political parties and anybody who supports them, they're bad guys too because they don't think like you. You go for that. You go for that. And let me know at what point you find the joy in that. Because I promise you, you won't. You'll be miserable. You'll be a failure. You'll probably spend your time making excuses for your don'ts instead of creating ways for your do's or your dids. So I think I've gone on long enough. Looks like we've gone for over 36 minutes here. There's a lot of life lessons in there, and I know I've talked about a lot of that stuff here before. Talked about it over on Facebook now. Be flexible. Be willing to change. You don't necessarily have to embrace it. But if you want to succeed, if you're in business especially, you've got to be willing to do it. When that cheese moves, you go find the other cheese or the new location, okay? Focus on you, your family, the things that you can control, not the distractions. Thanks for being with me here on the greatest homesteading channel on the entire planet that has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with homesteading. Because even that changed. That's how we were making videos at first. But kind of got sidetracked on other things. Homesteading off the grid. Thank you if you are one of our followers over there at Sick Twisted Humor on Facebook. We appreciate your support there as well. See you for more next time.